Okay, the first task that you guys have this week is something that some of you might have done before, but I want you just to remind yourself of it, do it again, see how it works out again, because it's always something which can kind of remind you why you need to be careful and why you need to think a lot when you're doing probability, and that is to take two dice. These are just ones that I could find. I couldn't find two the same size, but any dice will do, so long as they have the numbers 1 to 6 on the outside. So I've got two normal dice. Now remember, if we're rolling one dice, the probability of getting something like a 4 is 1/6. When you're rolling two dice, well, there's a way of getting a 4. So 1 and a 3. But there are other ways you could get a 4. You could have also got a 2 and a 2. Now that makes it a little bit harder to calculate the probability in this circumstance. So what I'd like you to do is experiment, draw a table. So I want you to roll your two dice. That's a 4 and a 2. So what I'd like to do in a table, put some tally marks. So I got 6. There I got 5. There I got 6 again. Rolled an 8. And I want you to keep doing that for a little bit of time. I'm going to leave a pause in the video for you to have a go at that. Then I'll show you a table that I've completed after a good number of rolls. And after that, we'll look at how we would actually find the probability of each of these. And we'll check out how our scores that we've managed to get link up to the probabilities that we would expect. So have a go at that. Pause the video here, do that, and then we'll reconvene and look at the question and the method for doing this in a minute. Okay, you rejoin me. I've done about 50 rolls here, maybe do a few more. So I'm now up to a good number of rolls, and we're beginning to get a picture of what this looks like. Okay, I'm not looking for you to get an exact number off your diagram. I'm looking for you to have a good sense of what this picture is going to look like. And we can quickly see from our picture, or our tallies, that it would appear that we've got more rolls landing in the middle here and less rolls of these extreme numbers like 12 and 1. Now 1 I put in the diagram just to let you think. There's a 1. The smallest this test can be is 1, so actually this was never possible. Well done if you realized that before you started drawing your table. So I got 1 of these, I got 2 of these, just adding up my tally marks. I got 8 of these, 8 there, 10 there, 14, 9, 4, 1, 2, and 1. So there's my totals. So we can see we definitely get more 7s and then more of these kind of middle numbers, 5 to 8, than we do of the extreme numbers like 2, 3, 11, 10, 11, and 12. And we want to know why that's the case. Now, the simple reason that that's the case is there's more ways to make the number 7. But if we want to actually work out how many ways and work out the probability of getting a 7, we need to draw a diagram that's going to help us. And that diagram is a neat way of laying out all the possible things that can happen when we roll two dice. So, make one of your dice dice 1. So this is dice 1. This one is dice 2. Well, what are the possible things that can happen on dice 1? Well, you could roll a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, or a 6. And on dice 2, it's exactly the same. Now, I'd recommend doing this if you can on squared paper because it will save you, keep everything neat. So 1 add 1 is 2, because when we roll our dice, we add them. 1 add 2 is 3, 1 add 3 is 4, 1 add 4 is 5, 1 add 6 is 6, 1 add 6, sorry, 1 add 5 is 6, 1 add 6 is 7. So there's things that happen if I roll a 1 on dice 2, and all the different things can happen on dice 1. Again, pause the video, see if you can fill it in. I'll show you the answer in just a second. Okay, so I finished filling my table in, and you can see all the possibilities. So if I roll a 1 and a 1, I get 2 is my answer. If I roll a 4 and a 4, I get 8. If I roll a 4 and a 5, I get 9. So this is just laying out all the possible things that can happen when you roll 2 dice, but it lets us find probabilities. So we might ask the question, for example, what is the probability of scoring an 8? So reminder, that would be written P, roll an 8. And we want to write down what the probability of that is. And so we come into our diagram. We've got an 8, an 8, an 8, an 8, an 8. So we've got 5 8s in our diagram. And if we very quickly, there's a nice shortcut method to this. There's 6 numbers along there, 6 down there, so it's 36, or 6 times 6 in the whole diagram. So we have a 5 out of 36 chance of getting an 8 when we roll 2 dice. So in the task, there are now some questions to answer about rolling 2 dice. And then there's an exercise where you have to create your own sample space diagram for 2 very different dice. So not these 2 dice, but 2 dice that look very different from these 2. So I would like you to have a go at that. I'm going to very quickly show you another lovely little sample space diagram you can draw as well, but that will be in the next video. Have a go and see you on the next video.